Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, or if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. So I'm really excited today because we have got an awesome project for the Gladiator. This is what I'm going to consider the ultimate air system for the Gladiator. And we went to a couple of different companies, kind of got a whole mixture of different stuff. And yeah, this thing's going to be awesome once we get it all done. What I'm doing today is I'm kind of just doing the mock-up. Got to cut a few things, drill a few things, going to run all my lines, just make sure that everything's good and ready to go, and then break it all down and get it all powder coated. But you can kind of see it behind me, so let's get over there and I'll show you what we got. All right, so this is everything we got for our ultimate air system for the Gladiator. Now we went to a few different companies here, and so I'll kind of walk you through everything and then I'll kind of explain how it's all going to work. So first off, this is going to be a bed mounted system. So we went to Motobilt and got their Molly bed panel. What you see here, this is the driver's side. Down the road, he'll add the front and the passenger side, but for now, all we're doing is the driver's side, and that's where our system is going to be mounted. Also from Motobilt, we got their air compressor holder, kind of fully enclosed. It's got a nice lid here, slides on over top. So basically what it's for is it's going to keep your air compressor out of the elements. Since this is bed mounted, it's going to keep anything rolling around in the bed, keep it from damaging your air compressor, protect all your lines, cover all your wiring, just super nice, fully enclosed. So that's what we've got for mounting. Everything is from Motobilt for mounting, the Molly bed panel and then the enclosure system. Now let's talk about the meat and bones here. So we went to ARB for all of it. We got their twin air compressor, which is, I mean, without a doubt, one of the best air compressors you can get. We also got their manifold for lockers, for air lockers. He doesn't have air lockers right now, but in the future, he's planning on running air lockers. So we wanted to go ahead and have that in this system. That way this system is completely ready to go, done. And whenever we get ready to add our air lockers, all we got to do is tap into the two ports that are provided on the manifold, run our tubing, hook up our air lockers, and we're done. That we don't have to worry about changing this system down the road since we're going to go ahead and add that manifold now. Next up, you can see here just slightly, this is their pressure control system. So one thing he wanted, just like with our Kraken system on RJL, he wanted to be able to use the phone controlled app. He wants to be able to hook up his air hoses, air up his tires. You know, if it's raining or something, he can set inside the Jeep. Doesn't have to worry about it. It's going to kick off whenever it's done and he's set and ready to go. So we went ahead and added that into this system as well. And then we added the 4-liter tank. And what this is for is in case he wants to run some air tools on the trail. Maybe, you know, he needs to hop out and air somebody up. Maybe they just got one tire. Maybe they've got a flat, something like that. So he wanted to have this extra air reservoir here to give him the option to do more with this system. And that's why it's the ultimate air system. It's going to have a few different ports on it, and it's going to have a few different options, but he'll be able to run air tools. He'll be able to just air up one individual tire, or he can go to his phone, air up all four with his tire inflate system, which I'll grab here in a second, or he can run his air lockers as well with this system. So that's why I'm kind of saying this is kind of an all-in-one ultimate system that we're setting up here. Now, as far as our connections and everything, I actually went to Viair. I really like their selection on different fittings, and we decided to go ahead and do all push to connect. I think that will make hooking up this system way easier. It will also make, you know, breaking this down to get everything powder coated and then hooking it all back up, it'll make it a lot easier with all the push to connect fittings from Viair. So again, their tubing, Viair connections, and we do have a few hoses from ARB that we're going to run internally inside this system over here. So I'll break it down here in a minute, but first let me grab this 4-tire inflate system. He went to Pro-Flate. Man, this kit is pretty awesome, I'm not going to lie. I really like the setup here, and I don't want to pull everything out, but you can get a good look at it here. I mean, you can look these things up. They're pretty awesome. All it really is you're going to hook into one air chuck, which we're going to have set up on the back of the system, and you're going to be able to air up all 4 tires at once. And it's nice and enclosed in this little bag. It's just really cool system. I really like it. And so again, that's from Pro-Flate. All right, so let me go ahead and break down the camera, and then I'll get you a close-up and we'll look at exactly how this system's going to work. Now, as far as functionality, once this is all said and done, we're going to have 2 ports on the back here. And this is what we're looking at now. This will be right at the bed of the truck, right at the tailgate of the truck. And what we've got here is this is from Motobilt. This comes with this system here. And this is a spot just to reel up your hose, which is super nice to have. So we are going to have a air hose, which he's already ordered from ARB. He's running their ARB, I think it's a 23-foot 1/4-inch air hose. We're gonna be running that on the back here. It will be hard mounted into here. Instead of a quick disconnect, we're gonna actually hard mount it into a 90, and that way it's nice and easy to wrap that around here. Now, that will be for running air tools, maybe airing up an individual tire, something along those lines. This port here, this quick disconnect, that will be where his 4-tire system is gonna plug into. So let's get to the meat and bones inside. And we'll just kind of follow the path of air here, and I'll just kind of explain how this is gonna work. So obviously you have your twin compressor. Your air line is gonna flow from there into our manifold for our lockers. And what you'll notice here, so on the inside there, you've got your 2 ports for your air lockers down the road. And then Motobilt has it set up with these holes pre-drilled, and that's where your air lines for your air lockers will run from this manifold straight out, and then we'll run them down to our lockers. And now from this manifold, we're gonna go ahead and come over into our air tank. I'll probably come into this far side over here, and then I'll come out on this side. So the compressor itself has a shutoff at 150, so an internal pressure switch essentially. So this whole system will be pressurized to 150 PSI. You don't have to worry about having an external switch or a pressure switch or anything like that, because it's all set up within this compressor. So again, we'll run air into the tank, be pressurized at 150, and then this is where it starts kind of getting a little weird. So coming out of the tank, we're gonna run in, and we've gotta basically have 2 separate air systems. Both will be supplied with 150. So we're gonna run a T, and we're gonna come up out of one side of the T, and we're gonna come into this pressure control switch from ARB. We'll basically come in on one side, come out on the other, and then we'll run it to our quick disconnect over here. That will be what will be controlled off of the phone, and that's what will set the tire pressure whenever we're doing the 4-tire inflate. Now, off of that other side of that T, it will run directly into this line here. Now I'm still debating on, I'm gonna test this system, kind of see how everything works. We might have to put a pressure regulator for this hose over here, and then that way, you know, if you've got an air tool or something that's only supposed to be running 70 PSI, right now the system is set up, it's running 150. So might need to do a pressure regulator, which we've got the room and everything to do it inside here. I'm not too worried about it, but that's something that we might have to add that I don't have right now. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, and I've talked to, you know, ARB, I've made sure this whole thing's gonna work, so I'm pretty excited to actually get it all plumbed up and then test it out. Now, as far as our wiring, obviously we'll have several wires coming off of our pressure control switch, off of our compressor, and we've got this one little spot here. I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and trim that out just a little bit more today. And then also I'm gonna trim out some of this molly underneath. And that way we've got a little more room for our wiring, and I'm not trying to cram it through, have it rubbing up against any sharp edges or anything like that. Just give us a little more play. So yeah, I mean, that's really the whole system here. It's not super complicated, but in the end, it's gonna be very versatile, and I think it's gonna be really, really awesome. It's gonna look really good. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go ahead and just set up the camera. I'm just gonna do a time lapse today. Like I said, I'm gonna get all this stuff run, get it drilled, cut, ready to go, plumb everything up, make sure I'm happy with where everything's at. And then I'm gonna break it all down, and we're gonna get all this stuff powder coated so that next time you see this, we'll be doing the final install. So yeah, let me go ahead and get started, and yeah, we'll get it all plumbed up. All right, so we got our mock-up all done. This is kind of our final product here. Went pretty smooth. I like the push-to-connect fittings for sure. Makes everything so much easier. Thank goodness for Viair for having a good selection there. We're done with all of our fabrication and mock-up and everything else. So now we're ready. We're gonna go ahead and tear it all apart. A lot of this stuff I went ahead and hard mounted, like final mounted, as far as our hoses and stuff, because pretty much what we're gonna do is we're gonna unbolt all this and just pull it out as one system, kind of leaving everything connected the way we got it. And then whenever we get ready to put it back in, we'll just do the same thing, throw it back in all together. But yeah, we'll get everything off to powder coat. And yeah, next time you see this will be for the final install. All right, so got everything back from powder coat finally. Took a couple weeks and I've been busy with some other projects and stuff. So yeah, this is it. We got everything in a kind of a gunmetal gray, which I don't have his truck here with me right now. I just picked up all the powder coat parts. So these are almost an exact match to his rims, which eventually, you know, he's gonna be doing some tube fenders and some other rock sliders that he's gonna probably powder coat the same color, kind of do this gunmetal gray that matches his rims. I think it's gonna look like really good. So in this part of the video, because this is all gonna be one video, I'm going to just kind of do a time lapse and I'm gonna just get everything mounted up on here like we had it before, like before we tore it down. And then I've got to go back to my real job. But the next chance I get, I'm gonna go ahead and get his truck over here and we'll start the long process of wiring. The wiring is gonna be pretty tough, and then getting all this mounted up. So anyway, this will just be a time lapse and we'll get all this stuff thrown together. All right, so we got everything mounted up for the final time. For today, I'm calling this good. And then next time you see it, we'll be throwing it in the truck and getting this thing wired up. All right, so we're back. As you can see, the Gladiator is behind me, so we are ready to get this thing mounted. Check this thing out. I know you've already seen it, but golly, this thing looks good. So we are gonna go ahead and get the molly panel mounted first, which it does require some drilling. So we need to do some prep work to the truck, pull the light out, pull the inner fender liner out, and then we'll get everything hooked up. And I'm really excited to test this thing out and see how it does. So first things first, let's get the truck prepped. So first thing we need to do is go ahead and get this inner fender liner removed. One of the holes that we have to drill is up here in the top. It'll be above the fender wheel. So a few looks like 8mm bolts, and we'll get that inner fender liner out of the way. And then after that, we're gonna get this light pulled out. So this is where we're gonna run all of our wiring. Now this light is obviously gonna be right behind our box, basically gonna be useless. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unplug that, and I'm going to steal the wiring off of it, and I'm gonna wire up an aftermarket light that will mount on the molly panel so that he'll still have plenty of light back here in the bed. And so this factory light just won't be used again, but we will use that hole, run all of our wiring out through there, and then we'll run it along the frame up to the front and get everything wired up. But first things first, like I said, fender liner, get the light out. Okay, so we got that light pulled, and then over here, I just undid, get where you can see, I just undid these 3 bolts. That'll give us enough flex in this to pull it away from the fender, so that way whenever we're drilling, we don't go through our fender liner. That's really all it's for, and then we have enough room to get our hand up behind there to hold the nut on the bottom, get a wrench on it, and get this molly bed panel mounted in. So that's what we're gonna do next, is we're gonna go ahead and get it back here in the bed. And we'll go ahead and throw the top 4 bolts in, which will bolt in here. There's 4 of them along the top. So we'll get those bolted in and mark where we have to drill on the bottom for our bottom holes. All right, so new day, new project. We're gonna get this thing wired up today. Last time you saw it, we got everything mounted, as you can see behind me there. So everything's mounted up. We're ready to get this thing wired up, and let's check out the wiring. All right, so as you can see, kind of a mess on the wiring. And I'll tell you what, wiring is not my favorite thing to do. But as long as you kind of read through the instructions, follow the diagrams, check everything out, make sure you know you got everything right, it's really not that hard. So we have all of our wiring for our pressure control switch over here. That will be cleaned up a lot. This red wire normally goes all the way up to the switch. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just wire it up inside the box. and that will provide power to our pressure control switch just when the switch is on. That way we don't have a constant power supply to our pressure control. And then obviously we've got our main power to our compressor, which we will have to extend this. So I'm going to get some, I think we're going to do 10 or 8 gauge wire. We'll extend this up to get it from the bed to the front battery. So that's that. And then we've got our switch wiring for up underneath the dash. So everything for this system is already set up if we were running front and rear air lockers. So you can see there, we've already got switch 1 and switch 2. That would be for the front and rear air lockers, which we don't have yet. So we're gonna end up just taping these up, putting them up underneath the dash. And then we do have our compressor switch. And then we got some auxiliary wiring and everything there. We did get their switch extension, so we don't have to buy any extra wiring or extend any wiring for our switches to get it from the bed to the cab. So that's nice. And then this will be what starts inside the box. This is just the extension of these. Basically all 3 of these will plug in together. We'll get that all ran, and that's all for our switches. So not really too bad. I know, you know, whenever you start looking at stuff like this, that you're like, no, I'm not doing that. But it's really not that bad. And it's also nice, I will say, on the switch wiring that they left everything separate. So here, you know, I can unplug all this. I don't have to hook it up until I get it up underneath the dash. I don't have to worry about cramming all these connectors and all this wire through holes and getting it zip tied up out of the way and getting it up into the cab. I can just wait, plug that in later. Really all I've got to worry about, and they left this unhooked too. So you can, we'll plug all these in once we get it inside the cab. So really all I need to do is just throw some electrical tape on these, cover them up, and then I'll run this as far as I can. Once I get to a certain point, I will have to plug in our extension, and then we'll get this up into the cab, and then we'll plug in our switches and get them plugged in. So really not too bad. I know it looks like a mess, but we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'll just kind of do a quick, you know, time lapse of us getting it wired up, because nobody really wants to see all that. And then obviously the funnest part was we'll get to test this thing out and see how it all works. All right, so we have finally got this thing wrapped up. Just did a little test on it. We have no leaks. So right now, actually, the compressor is on, and we've let it set for a minute, and that's everything complete right there. Obviously, we still got to throw the cover on, but you can kind of see pretty clean for the most part. I mean, yeah, you got wires and hoses running everywhere, but the good thing is we got a cover for that, so it'll all be covered up, and it'll be nice and clean. And then up here at the front, got him a little light installed in front of the air tank there. So we ran all of our wiring through where the side light is. You can see the side light here on the passenger side. So we ran all of our wiring through that hole. So we were gonna lose all of our light on the left side of the bed. So we decided to go ahead and throw a light up there, mount it to the molly. And that way he's got a nice lit up bed at night. And yeah, let's check this thing out. All right, so this is where we decided to mount our switches at, up here on the kicker panel. There is not a lot of options in Jeeps as far as where to mount switches. So this is what we went with. It'll be nice and clean. We've already checked, you know, there's no issues with hitting his knee on it or anything like that. So it's out of the way, and it's visible from the driver's seat, which is important. So as you can see, we went ahead and installed the front locker switch, and we've got room for a rear if he ever does a rear locker down the road. So for now though, we went ahead and installed the front locker switch, even though he doesn't have a front locker. And you can kind of see there, it'll light up, turn off, everything, but it's not actually hooked up to anything. And then here you can see our compressor switch, which everything, you know, lights up with the lights there. I don't know if you can tell that in the video or not. So as you can see there, we can turn it on, you know, our little light comes up. Obviously it doesn't kick on right now because we have full pressure on the system, so there's no need for the compressor to kick on, but everything is working great. So that's our setup on the inside. So back here, we got this nice hose from ARB, so we can throw it on, you know, throw our air tools on. And you see there, the system will kick off automatically. The compressor itself has that internal pressure switch. So if we were wanting to run air tools, you know, maybe we just had a flat on one tire, needed to throw some more air in one tire, we've got all that set up. So everything's ready to go, just, you know, with a single hose. So as is, just that system right there could be used to air up, you know, after we hit the trails or something, but we've got something a little bit better for that. This system is a kind of a dual system. So as you can see there, we have our air hose, and then we also have another air spot right here. So what that's gonna be is for our pressure control system. So we have it set up on the app, and he is running the Pro-Flate, which is nice. It's a 4-tire air up system. you've got this nice digital gauge, so you can kind of see, you can open and close your valve down here. Right now, obviously that's letting air out of the tires. So let's go ahead and hook this thing up. So after we hook up like that, and you can see here, we're connected to all four right now. So everything is fully hooked up. We opened our valve on our Pro-Flate. So you can see right now we're setting at like 18 PSI roughly on the tires. You know, we come down here to the app, we got it set to 34. Let's go to our mode here and do pressure control. All right, so I backed up a little, so hopefully you can hear me a little bit better. So now at that point, you can see here, it's just gonna run until it gets up to 34 PSI on all four tires. It might kick on and off a little bit after that. It'll equalize all the pressure in all four tires. And then whenever we're done, we can just go down here, go to pressure control, go to pressure off. So right now it's actually not airing up the tires, it's repressurizing the air tank. So it's gonna repressurize the system, and then, yep, it should shut off as it did just right there. So you can kind of see now we've got kind of two systems in one with one compressor. So now we've got a system where we can run air tools, we can air up an individual tire, whatever we want to do with it. And then we've also got our nice easy system that makes airing up after the trail super easy. Plug it in, hook up all four tires, get it going. You can go, you know, eat lunch, do whatever you want. It's going to kick off at 34 PSI or whatever your desired PSI is. It'll just turn off and that's it, you're done. Just come back, disconnect your hoses, roll it up. You can throw it in the bag that Pro-Flate sent you and throw it back underneath the seat and you're good to go. You got a fully enclosed, ready to go system. So pretty awesome. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out, and I'm about to get the cover on. I'll show you one more time kind of what the end product looks like with the cover on, but yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, so that wraps it up for this video. That is our kind of dual purpose system. Really happy with the way it looks. I think it looks amazing, and I'm really happy with the way it performs. All of our wiring checked out, everything ran great, just like it should. So really happy with it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.